Hey, lady, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm hot and you're sweating.
Yeah.
It's hot here in
It's,
Texas, man. It's humid.
it hasn't been too bad today. It's been hot here the last couple of days, but today there's a lot of fires here, so it's
I
super.
seen that. I seen a lot
Yeah,
of fires there. I feel like Washington's trying to burn up.
yeah. It's pretty bad right now. So it's like really smoky and windy. Seems to
Oh,
be weird, when there's fires. It's
windy.
the wind wants to. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and it fires them up more.
yeah.
That's not
So
good.
it's kind of nice that it's not hot because it already makes it
Right.
yucky with
Makes
the
it
fires.
miserable.
Yeah. The other day I woke up and I thought I was super sick and I realized it wasn't like
Just the
my throat,
smoke.
like, yeah, I feel like I was smothering in my sleep because the smoke was so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yuck. Well, us curly girls are not good over here in Texas. It's too humid and hot. We don't have any fires though yet. We
That's
do get
good.
fires sometimes, but I can't breathe when
Yeah.
it's like that.
Yeah, that's bad.
Hmm.
Do you guys get fires very often? I don't think I realized that. Yeah.
No, it's every once in a while, but it's not like California and Washington. I feel like you guys get a lot of fires.
So, California definitely does. Washington, it hasn't been known for it, but lately
It's been
it
more
kind of feels,
prominent.
yeah, it kind of feels like it's purposely done. Like I think people are doing it, but
I hope not. I hope not.
it kind of seems like that. It's because it's the same places
All the time.
that are, yeah,
Uh,
like days after days. And now it's on Weenass, so like White Pass is closed.
hmm. That's where I seen the videos. Lori was coming and she put some on her Facebook, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, because Rimrock's on fire.
I was about to say she was at Rimrock for the weekend. They had to evacuate or something.
Yeah, and then some river by Weenass is on fire. Um,
Mm.
and then Moxie, but the park, the Greenway was on fire like
Man,
3 times in a row.
my asthma would be hating me if I was there. I'd be like, ugh, like a fish,
That's how it
fish out of
feels.
water.
Like my eyes have been all swollen and like itchy and
Hmm. It's kind of windy here too.
yeah,
I've been having to take Benadryl every day. I feel like it's like getting on my nerves.
yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, well, I'm
yeah.
super excited. So, guys, we have formulated how we're going to do this. So, we're going to talk about things as they come for awareness months. August has two different ones. So, we're going to start out with the National Immunization Awareness Month. So, typically, it is the annual monthly observance, which highlights how important it is to be vaccinated at every stage in life. And I have some pretty opposing beliefs on that just because I've had some pretty scary situations. Not saying that I'm anti-vax because I'm not. I'm not even pro-vax. I'm not anti or pro. I am pro-choice for your family. I think that vaccines are not a one size fits all. I feel like everybody's family is unique to that situation.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. Yes.
I feel like it's unique because everybody's body is different, right? Like we
Right.
all respond to things differently.
Right. And I think that the vaccines have things in it that one person could be allergic to or have a reaction to and one person could not. And
Absolutely. I had no clue what was in them until I was forced to look at what was in there because of my youngest son. So my oldest son was fine. He was vaccinated fully every, what was it, 3 months they did vaccines, all of his vaccines at one time. He got like mild little fevers, gave him Tylenol, he slept it off. Youngest, it seemed that way. First vaccines I think he had was at 2 months because I did not let them do the Hep A in the hospital. I was like, no, we're good. He had a little fever, cried a little bit. 4 months, higher fever, cried a lot. 6 months, about 20 minutes after we got home, he turned blue. Passed out in my arms, couldn't rouse him. We had to take him in. It was a whole thing. And I'm like, never again. Never again. Because even when they got him back and he was good, he screamed for 18, 20 hours.
Dang.
18, 20 hours. And then we learned about 7 months later that that reaction actually ruined his kidney. He has an adrenal gland calcification on his left kidney because of vaccines. Mhm.
Wow.
So I had rabbit hole, girl. I was down the rabbit hole. What is in these things?
Right.
Every freaking .org, .edu, any credible site, I was on it. I had
Right.
binders and binders of research. And for my family, never again.
Right. Yeah, there's certain vaccines that I don't do.
Hmm.
Um, some of my kids have been fully vaccinated. Some of my kids have not. I'm with you. It's whatever's best for your family. Just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean that it's not going to work for you. Or just because it has worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Right.
We don't do the flu vaccine. Um, we don't do the chickenpox vaccine.
Mhm.
Uh,
Girl, we grew up in the 80s. Rita
yeah,
got chicken pox. Everybody go to Rita's house. We
right,
had chicken pox parties. We all had chicken pox together. What are you talking
right,
about?
right. Because the reason I don't do the chickenpox vaccine is because some of my kids had the chickenpox vaccine and still got the chickenpox.
My oldest
So
son. Hmm.
yeah, so I feel like it's unnecessary, and if
Right.
it's unnecessary, there's no reason to do it.
Right.
If it's not going to prevent it, why am I putting that in my kids? Is how I
Hmm.
feel. And I feel like the flu vaccine to me, that's never made any sense to me because why am I going to give my kids a vaccine for something that happened last
Last
year?
year. Hmm.
Yeah, because they're not going to get that same virus this year,
Right.
right? I mean, they
Right.
could, but they could not. So why are we going to give it to
Right.
them when your body is made to fight off um that stuff. You have an
Right.
immune system, and in my opinion, every time you get a vaccine and every time you get a flu shot, you're breaking down your own immune system that to fight that stuff off. So over here we choose not to do that.
Yeah. It puts a
For the
lot of
people that
heavy
choose,
metals.
yeah. So I've never had the flu before until I got the flu vaccine.
Hmm.
Um, and I've never gotten it again.
Right.
Uh, yeah. So
I tell
I
people when they ask my opinion on, it, I'm like, look, especially new moms. I've had a lot of new moms ask me, hey, what would you do? And I'm like, look, this is why I won't do it for my family. It's not ever going to work for my family again. It almost killed my baby. I will not watch my baby turn blue. I mean, if he chooses to vaccinate himself when he's 18, then by all means, I can't stop him. He's a grown adult. But until then, I'm not doing it. And you know what? He's been really healthy since we stopped vaccinating. They've both been really healthy. They barely get sick. Now they both have autoimmune disorders, so sometimes those flare up and they're sick, but it's not like stuff that they were getting sick with. But I tell them, make the choice yourself, do your research. If you are worried about it, listen to your intuition first, because that morning that I took him to get that vaccine, I had a horrible feeling. I was like, man, just cancel the appointment, just cancel the appointment. And I didn't. And I took
right,
him and he almost died. And it's
right,
crazy because his doctor, we had every time he had a reaction, like the 2 month, the 4 month, I told him, like, look, something just ain't right. He's not responding normally. And he's like, okay, well, this next time at 6 months, we'll just take all the other ones away and we'll just give him the MMR. It's the most common. It's been around since you were a child. It's got a lot of research back in it. It's been around for decades. And I'm like, okay, let's just try that one because it is an older vaccine. And that's the one that almost got him.
right. Because like we said, your body could be able to take it, but somebody else's body, just like there's some people that can take, um, and of course I'm going to say it now, I can't think of the freaking name, but for antibiotics, what's that
Oh, yeah,
called?
penicillin.
And some people are deathly allergic to penicillin.
My
So
youngest. The
it
Gotta be the
just
youngest
depends,
for everything, right?
right? So it 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 just depends. Or like immune
Mhm.
deficiency. So I have immune deficiency.
Right.
Um, and I had my disease doctor me convinced that I was always gonna just be sick. It was just gonna be a thing. Um, I was gonna always have to live this way and blah blah blah, you know. And then I had a doctor tell me you need to up your vitamin C. And
Mhm.
I said I'm allergic to vitamin C. When I take it, I get my mouth will get canker sores inside really bad. And she said, that's because you don't have enough vitamin C. Your body, just keep taking it. And the more you
Mhm.
take it, the more your body's going to get it, and that's going to stop. And it did. And my immune deficiency is nowhere near as bad as it was before.
Mm-mm.
I don't get sick as much as I did. I would get sick. Like if somebody in the office was sick, I would be sick, and it would take me forever to get over it. And I sometimes feel like they don't want you to know that because it was that simple. Like he
Mhm.
literally had me thinking I was just gonna be like that forever. It was just gonna be a thing. And I think there's more natural things that you can do to,
Absolutely.
and they don't want you to know that.
No. And in my opinion, too, I mean, if you think about it from a whole sense, like just common sense, and this is just my opinion, but medicine is a business, right? If I am healthy, you're not making money off of me.
Right.
So, at my heaviest, I was almost 200 pounds. Well, my diabetes was crazy. I went to a doctor and spent over $1,200 for them not to give me any kind of answers. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I fixed myself. I put myself on a keto diet. I lost 50 pounds. And guess what? My blood sugar stayed was. So when I went to the thyroid doctor to have extra testing done and have my A1Cs done, she's like, you cured yourself. Now, don't get me wrong, diabetes is not gone. You're going to be predisposed to it because you do have that in your blood. But as long as you watch what you eat, you can control your own sugars.
Right. You can control so much things. Just like,
Mhm.
oh, when I was sick and I was in the hospital. So I was on strong antibiotics for 6 months, right? And before that, I was on it for a month. And I literally had a port to my heart.
Mhm.
And I got injections every day. I had to go to the hospital and went to sit there for an hour while they pumped all this stuff. Not one time did any of those doctors tell me that you're going to be on this antibiotic for so long and it's going to kill the good bacteria in your bowels.
Anybody too. Yep.
They didn't tell me that. And after that, my stomach had been killing me for like weeks. And my dad called me and he's like, "Are you taking probiotics and all this stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." Like my dad comes up with crazy things sometimes, I think, and I'm just like agreeing with him. I'm like, "Yeah." So he's like, "How are they working?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're working really good." Mind you, I was lying. I had not took the probiotic. I
She
hadn't
said,
done
Probot,
any of
what?
that. I was like, "Okay, Dad." So my dad sent me, I'm pretty sure he knew I was lying. So he sent me a box of all these natural medicines, right? Probiotics and all this stuff. And I started taking them. And within a week, the sharp pain that I was having in my stomach was gone. But I'm sure if I would have went to the doctors, they would have told me all this other stuff that and tried all these other things to get my money when it was just
Oh,
that
yeah.
simple. I
Hmm.
had been taking an antibiotic for so long, I needed a probiotic.
Right.
And that it was that simple.
So
But
that's
they
the
don't
thing
tell you
with
that.
doctors too, is you got to find a good one. So like
Right.
Liam's doctor was a good one. He was also an 85-year-old man that told me if it's newer than 10 years old, I won't let my family take it. He was very honest with me. Some of the newer stuff that came out, he's like, nope, my kids don't take it. My grandkids don't take it. And I wouldn't give it to them. So
Right.
when all that happened, he's like, no, you need to go to the website. You need to report his reaction to VARS because that's serious. Like he wasn't breathing. Like that's not,
Right.
we're not continuing vaccinating because the cons for him way, way worse than the pros.
Right.
And
Right.
that's when he was telling me about, hey, you being vaccinated through your entire life, you already gave him some of the antibodies to that anyway. And that was
Right.
something I'd never researched or even knew anything about. So, of course, I had to go down that rabbit hole. And that's another thing that gets you thinking, like, okay, well, why are we vaccinating these tiny babies that are 5 to 6 pounds with the same dose of medication that you would give me, and I'm a 150-pound woman, when they were actually
Right.
born with some kind of immunity?
Right.
They already have partial immunity. They don't even like they're learning how to poop and breathe when they come out of the womb. Like, why are we shooting them up with all these metals?
Right.
For
Right.
me, it doesn't make sense. But I
It
never thought about it before. I didn't.
it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. And when you're breastfeeding, you give them all
Mm-hmm.
those things too. So why are we doing, I mean, if we're choosing to do it, why are we doing it so early?
Right.
Um, and if you look it up and you can put it in theirs, I mean, there's some backing up to it. It's a number one cause of SIDS too,
Mm-hmm.
vaccination. So I just
Yep.
think you got to be really mindful. I mean, also do what's best for you, but I
Right.
think that we've been taught this whole time this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do, and really our bodies are an amazing thing. And a lot of times the vaccines is ruining what God already gave you.
Right. That's my biggest tip of advice is go with, first of all, you're a mom, right? We all
Yeah.
know that you have a gut instinct. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. If you go get up that morning and you're supposed to take your baby to get shots like I did, and it don't feel right, cancel that damn appointment because I almost lost my kid
Right,
because I didn't listen to myself
right,
because I did what everybody tells you to do. Oh, you have to
right,
vaccinate. You have to vaccinate. You have to vaccinate. And
right,
my oldest son was great. I didn't have any reason to not vaccinate. He didn't ever have a
right,
reaction.
right,
Now, did that lead to his ADHD? I can go hold down a whole rabbit hole that leads research there. But
right,
also, we know that he had poor prenatal care from the birth mom. And he had other things that could have done that as well. So, like it's a whole thing. But I tell people to make that decision for yourself. Don't let anybody bully you. And when you go into that office, if you ask your doctor for information and they give you something printed from the
that part.
computer, tell them no, I don't want that. I
Right,
want your vaccine insert, what comes from the manufacturer. I want to
right,
read it because if you read it, you'd probably pack that kid right back in the car seat and walk the hell out that office because I've asked. And the first time I asked, they looked at me like a deer in headlights. They said, "What?" And I said, "I need the vaccine insert that came from the manufacturer." And she goes, "Oh, I gave you a paper." No, I don't want that.
right,
I want the vaccination insert that came
right.
in the box from the manufacturer. And she's
That
like, "Oh,
tells
I don't
you,
know if we keep those." Oh, well, you better find me one
right.
because,
And
yeah.
another thing that people don't think about is they don't know where those came from. They're shipped all over from everywhere.
Mm-hmm,
There's no way to um link it back to anywhere.
mm-hmm,
Like they absolutely cannot. And
right.
those papers that you've signed saying when you give your kids a shot that nobody reads, it's literally saying that
Mm-hmm.
they're not responsible if anything happens to your child after the vaccine.
So if you look it up, and I'll put some research in this as well at the bottom, because there's a lot of research that I could talk about and we'd be here forever. I'll
Right.
put some links in there to where they can get some information about all that because there's a lot of it out there. You just have to dig. I mean, I had to go down holes and holes and holes. And it's crazy
Right.
too, because years later, when he was diagnosed with PFAPA, he was what, 4.5, 5? His doctor for that, his immune disorder, will not let us go around anybody who's had a vaccination within 30 days, whether it was a live virus or not. And when I asked him why, because I was always under the impression that, live viruses are the only ones that could shed your pores, he said, no, absolutely not. That is a myth. Anything you get vaccinated into your body can come out of your pores, and your kid has the risk to it. And because he can't be vaccinated and he has this high risk autoimmune disorder, mm-mm. So I'm
Right.
really not being a meanie when I ask people with young kids, like, have you vaccinated them in the last 30 days? I could care less if you did. Like, I'm not going to judge you. I think you need to make the right call for your family. But my kid's life depends if you did that.
Right. And
And
a lot
to
of people
me,
don't know
that
that.
sounds bad, but that's more important to me than you vaccinating that kid. I don't want you near me until it's out of its system
Right.
enough to where it's not going to be in my kid's system.
Right. And a lot of people don't know that you're actually not even supposed to go to work or any of, they don't
Mm-mm.
tell you that, of course, but
Right.
you're not, because you're spreading that, because
Mm-hmm.
you're literally gotten a, virus injected into you.
Well, it's just like
So,
anything else. If I'm sick with a cold or the flu or COVID or
right.
whatever, I can give it to you. It's going to come out of my body.
Right.
I
And
mean,
people don't understand why, okay, so, okay, my work pushes, I mean, you go downstairs and they'll give you the flu shot, right? And they push it
mm-hmm,
big time. And then all of a sudden everybody's sick, right?
mm-hmm,
Everybody in the office, oh, it's flu season, everybody's sick, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, because you just, those people went downstairs, got the flu shot, came back upstairs. Then they're
Mhm.
back at work the very next day. Well, now all these people that aren't vaccinated with the flu shot, they have the flu, and the person that's vaccinated has the flu. And
Mhm.
nobody understands why. Oh, you have a whole office sick.
Right. I had a nurse one time try to sneak that flu shot on me. I have my hysterectomy and I am out of it. I'm on Dilaudid, right? I'm in pain. And this, I wake up briefly because she's coming to give me more medicine. I see her standing there. She's coming at me with 2 needles. I'm like, what are those? Oh, it's your heparin. I said, no, what are those? That's 2 needles. She thought I was high enough to not notice, apparently. And she's like, oh, well, it's your heparin and a flu shot. I said, why are you bringing a flu shot? Did I ask you for that? And she goes, oh, it's in your chart that you need it. And I said, I don't need it. You stick me with that and we're going to have a whole problem.
Right.
I do not need that flu shot. The last time I got a flu shot, I was 16 years old and I was sicker than a dog, and you will not come at me with that needle again.
Right.
And she just,
Yeah.
she rolled her eyes at me and I'm like, my choice,
Right.
lady. You're trying to sneak it onto me and that's not cool. You need to ask my
Right.
consent to just be giving me things.
Right.
I
Well,
was
they
not
don't.
impressed. No.
Right. No, they
Mm-mm.
don't.
And well child appointments, they don't either, because most of the time, well child appointments every year is for vaccines. So you
Right.
really have to find a doctor that understands your point of view.
Right.
My kid's pediatrician is amazing. She is phenomenal. She knows. She already
Right.
knows, and she knows the rationale behind it. It's not that I'm following a fad or I'm going with the whole anti-vax era. No, I have a legit reason. I'm an educated woman and I put my research into it, and it's my choice. Do not push it at me.
Right. And another thing is like they also base everything off 100 people. So if a
Hmm.
hundred people, but that's not okay.
It's
Like
not
for instance,
reality.
it's not reality. Like when I almost died, they didn't check me for anything because
Hmm.
I didn't have a fever.
Hmm.
Okay, but not everybody's the same.
Hmm.
And that's why it's called practicing medicine. You can't base it off what everybody's
No.
reaction to stuff is, because then people are going to almost die because
Hmm.
you don't want to, a lot of people don't want to listen to, I know my body. If something's not right, I can tell you something's not right.
That's how I am.
But people don't, doctors don't want to listen. Like
Mm-mm.
they want to base it off everybody else. Well,
It's because
uh,
when they're in school, they are trained to have a scientific brain, which I get it. I went to school too, and I got a whole bachelor's degree. So you think on our data basis, but everybody's different.
right.
I
And
don't run a
listen,
fever when I'm sick.
yeah.
I'm also
Well,
not baseline. 98.6 is everybody's temperature, right? Not mine, not my son's. We run 96.2.
right,
And
because
so
not
when we go
everybody,
to the fever, when we go to the hospital with a fever, it's 98.6. And they're like, oh, you're normal. No, we're not. That's a fever.
well, right. Yeah, because everybody, I mean, everybody's
Right.
different. And they, yeah, it frustrates, that part of that stuff frustrates me because I don't think you should base anything off
Mhm.
one certain, because everybody's bodies are different. Everybody's like when I had, oh, I had a doctor tell me this. They're like, I don't know what it is about you, but anything could happen with you. And I said, why? He said, because we thought we were gonna have to give you a blood transplant. And I said, really? He said, yeah. When you went into your C-section, your blood count was super low. When you came back out of the C-section, your blood count was super high. He's like, I can't
Dang.
explain it. I've never seen it before. He- He's like, it's like you're like, if it can be possible, it can happen to you. And
Mhm.
I was like, I guess. I'm glad
Because
you didn't
we
have to give me a,
different.
yeah. I'm like,
Mhm.
just like when I had the infection, that doctor argued with me forever. You don't
Mhm.
have an infection, you don't have a fever. I didn't have a fever until they hooked me up to antibiotics. And by that time I was
Septic.
incoherent because yeah, because they had gave me steroids that had broke down my immune system. And with the in 24 hours, I was incoherent because I
They
didn't have
were
an infection
they were
and I
killing
did.
you. Your body couldn't fight it because the steroids broke your body down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't think
I
there should be a baseline because I had to fight for Liam
I don't
because they
trust
wouldn't
them.
listen to me.
I literally don't trust them.
I don't trust anybody, girl. It's the
But
motto in
it's
life.
you should be able to trust them.
You should.
You should, just like after I had my hysterectomy, I had an infection. I had to fight with them to get medicine for an infection. And they're like, I don't think you have one. I don't think this. I don't think that. I'm like, why would I make it up? I have an infection, which I
Right.
did. And then I ended up getting super sick because I wouldn't look at my chart. And so they had me on this infection medicine. I ended up going to my regular doctor and she had to give me a shot because the infection had gotten so bad and made me continue taking those. But she said the same thing. If they would have looked at your chart, they would have
Mm-hmm.
known that you're septic to or whatever to infection, and they needed to give you the highest dose of infection medicine because your
Right.
body won't. But they don't listen. They know they
Mm-mm.
just don't listen, and they think everybody's the same, and it's not reality.
No, when you find a
So
good doctor, keep them because you need one that listens. My doctor that I've had forever, he knows. If I email him, hey, I'm having diverticulitis again, he already knows. He knows I
right,
100% know my body and my intestine is getting infected again.
right,
I need amoxicillin. Send
right,
it on over and I'll be fine. I'll go on a liquid diet, take my stuff, and I'll be good. The
right,
problem
and you
is you don't always get the same one if you're going to like an urgent care, or what if you don't have health care?
right,
You have
you
to go to the
don't, and
ER all the time, and then they think that you're just searching for drugs because let's face it, like there is an epidemic of that in the world, and they don't know us. I mean, look at me, I'm covered in tattoos. I look like I'm trying to search for something, and I'm not.
yes,
So,
they accuse me of being a drug addict,
mm, isn't that wonderful?
but they
Like
never catch.
you could just throw me some Tylenol, but I for real need the antibiotics. Okay,
Yeah, and they never give me a blood test or anything. And if they would have gave me a blood test, they would have known that I wasn't a drug addict.
right. Like I don't do
But
drugs. Sorry.
right. And then when I was in the hospital, I was freaking out because I was so appalled that they thought I was a drug addict that I was scared that the other hospital wasn't going to help me because they were going to think I was a drug addict, which they
Wow.
didn't. But that's the mentality I had, is that I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, they're going to treat me the same way because this other hospital treated me like I
Yeah.
was just some druggie.
Yeah. And that's sad because then people start turning away from the healthcare system because they can't trust anybody. And that's how people die,
Right.
unfortunately.
Right. It is. Because I mean, some doctors would tell you that that your child's vaccine is not what made them sick. And but some doctors will be enough to
Mhm.
know that that's definitely what it is.
Yeah. I've had both sides. I've had a pediatrician try to tell me that we were going to do it regardless. No, we're not. Oh, that's not
Right.
possible. Okay. Well, I've got a bunch of research. And when I start citing back research is when their eyes really get big
Right.
because they already know that research is there.
Right. Right.
I mean, it is absolutely what caused that.
Right.
You can't tell me
They
any
hope
different.
they hope that you're not going to, because there's nothing they can
Mm-hmm.
say when you have facts.
Yep. And it's funny
Right.
too, because if I take him to the ER, when they do the triage thing, they're like, hey, is he fully vaccinated? Nope. And he's not going to be. Well, you really should. And I said, he has a reaction. It's reported with VARS. As soon as I say VARS, they stop talking to me about it.
Right.
They already know. Like she's done her research. Don't even come at her because she's about to be loaded gun over here because you're not playing with me.
And they don't want, yeah, they want somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about.
Right. Because the first
Right.
time I asked for that vaccine insert, oh, I gave you the paper. No, not that one. Not the one that tells me to dose my kid with Tylenol. No, 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 no. No, I don't want that one. I want the one that tells me that he could die. That's the one
Right.
I want. I want the one that tells me that all vaccine manufacturers are not liable for the damages caused by that vaccine. That's the one I'm talking about.
Right. But they're not going to give you that.
Oh, I had them give it to me. They found it.
No, no, I mean, they will if you fight for it, but they're not just
Right.
going to voluntarily be like, oh,
No.
here you go, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No,
No. No.
no, no,
Mm-mm.
they're not going to do that.
Don't give me all the
No, no,
scary stuff. That's what
yeah.
I want. I want the scary stuff. So that's my biggest thing. Like, I'm not for it or against it. I'm
Right.
whatever's good for your family. I want you to do that. Whatever you feel in your
Right.
heart or your gut as a mother, I want you to do that because at the end of the day, most of the time that is 99% accurate for your family.
Right.
But I want them to be transparent. And unfortunately,
Right.
it's not going to. So I try to give advice to younger moms like, do your research. If it don't feel right, research it.
Right.
Look for credible sites. Don't go to .com, go to .org, go to .edu, go to stuff that has been cited by a college or a research center.
Right.
Do your own research. It's out there. Sometimes it's a little hidden and you have to really dig, but it is there. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Maybe in
Right.
6
And
months
that's
you'll want to do it. Maybe you want to wait till they're older. Do whatever feels right for you.
right. And that's with anything that has to do
Mhm.
with anything, like not just vaccines. You want to do what's best for you, and
Mhm.
you want to do your research because, like, my son was lactose intolerant
Mhm.
from the day he was born. And I fought and fought with them, and they didn't figure that out until he was a year old, and they would tell me, oh, you just need to give him more water. You just need to do this. And it was like they treated me like I was a young mom and I was just dumb
Mhm.
and I was going to believe everything they said. And I didn't. And I fought them tooth and nail. And finally, I got a doctor that listened to me. And it was that simple. He was lactose intolerant. And I'm like, they couldn't have figured
Mhm.
that out 6 months ago. Like,
Yep.
they just don't. Some doctors, you're going to get a doctor that cares, and you're going to get one that doesn't. And if you feel like your doctor doesn't care, you need to make sure that you find a different doctor that's going to
Advocate.
respect your feeling. Yes.
Exactly. Advocate, even if it makes you look crazy. Liam, when he was diagnosed with PFAPA, I had taken him to the hospital 6 times within 2 weeks. He was running 106 to 108 fever for days on end, days and
Right.
days and days. And the last time I took him in, same old crap. Oh, it's just a virus. Let's test him for COVID because it was right around that time. And they're like,
Right.
nah, it's just fibers. Take him home. They were treating him with antibiotics. They've been treating him with antibiotics for weeks and they were killing him. He was 32 pounds when they admitted him to the hospital at 4 years old. He was skin and bones, but they told me they were going to discharge me. And I looked at that doctor straight in the face and I said, that's fine. You can discharge my son. And I'm telling you right now that I'm going to walk back up to that desk and I'm going to sign him back in because someone is keeping my child because he's dying. And I was right. But they looked
Right.
at me like I was freaking crazy. They
Right.
even had the balls to tell me, well, you sure it's not your animals? Like they nitpicked all the animals in our house and all that stuff. Like, I mean, I get it. You don't know me. You don't know how my house is clean or whatever. But one of my doctors actually came back in after his diagnosis and bring me Starbucks and told me I apologize for judging you. He
Yeah.
said, he said, if you wouldn't have brought your kid in, I don't know if you'd be here in a week.
Right.
I
It's
look like the
crazy.
crazy lady though, but you know what? If you feel it in your mama gut, I don't care what it pertains to, vaccines, healthcare, whatever,
Right.
advocate.
Right. That happened to my son. He had swallowed a penny and it got stuck in his um esophagus. And we went to the
Mm,
doctors. I thought he had pneumonia. And they tell you not to stick your finger
right.
down his throat. But I guess when I stuck my finger down his throat because I turned the penny sideways, so it had
Mm,
enough for him just to get some air. Make a long story short, we went to the emergency or his doctors, and they did an X-ray, and they came back and said, "Oh, he's fine." And I was like, "What's that right there in the X-ray?" And he said, "Oh, that's the button to his overalls." And so that's funny. They took his overalls off, and the button would never be right here.
be down lower.
And they said, Hold on, we'll be right back." They come in within seconds and said, "We're taking him by helicopter because if the gets enlarged and swallows it, he's gonna die." And I said, "What?" They said he has a penny lodged in his esophagus right above his lungs, and if it gets unlodged and
It could
goes
go
into
in
his
his
lungs,
lung.
he's gonna die. And they ended up having to take him by ambulance and all this stuff. They had to do emergency surgery, but they were literally just gonna send him home until I was like, "Yo, hold up, what is that? That's
Right.
not supposed to be right there. Oh, that's just a pen, or that's just his overalls."
Like
No.
he wasn't wearing
How
them.
would
They
his
took him
butt
down.
They took him down, and how would the buttons from overalls right here be right here?
I mean, I guess if he was adjusted weird, maybe, but no.
But still, like,
Yeah.
and sometimes you have to speak up because they
Mm-hmm.
will literally just send him home.
Yeah.
And or like one time my daughter was little and she had fell and hurt her knee and she couldn't walk, and I took her to the doctors and they're like, she's fine. She just has a little fluid on her knee. She ended up in Children's Hospital for 2 weeks because she had an infection in her leg. And her doctor apologized to me multiple times because I made them bring another doctor in, and then they took her to the hospital. And the hospital for 3 days didn't tell them that they didn't have pediatrics here for children. And
Oh,
so she
wow.
was so mad. And then so they took her to Seattle, and she ended up having to be on antibiotics for 2 weeks because she had an infection. But they literally weren't going to do anything about it. They literally told me there's nothing wrong until I said, "No, you need to bring another doctor in here. You
Right.
can literally see that there's fluid on that child's knee, and she's screaming and crying, and she can't walk." But
Right.
they had her in the hospital for 3 days before they ever even told her doctor that there was no children's pediatrics here that could do anything
No.
to her leg. And by that time, it was infected. But if
Right.
I wouldn't have fought and yelled and
Mm-hmm.
acted a fool and told them, no, somebody else is looking at my child's leg,
Right.
she could have died because she had an infection.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
be
my
your
biggest
child's
advice.
advocate.
Yeah, advocate, because you're their voice, man. They're little.
Right.
They're
Whether it's
little.
a back, yeah. And don't let anybody make you feel like your motherly instincts ain't right or that you're
Mm-mm.
crazier because the
Right.
doctors are human beings. They're not always right. They make mistakes, just like there's
Oh yeah.
millions and millions
Yeah.
of malpractice because they're
Mhm.
just making a just
It's an
practicing
educated
medicine.
guess, is what it
Yeah,
is.
that
That's,
was
I
the
mean,
word I was looking for.
they went to school, they got a degree to make educated guesses. I mean, they're not the creator. They don't technically know. Yeah, they have a bunch of testing and they could put their knowledge, which I've had some fabulous doctors, but they're
Yeah,
human. When
right,
that doctor came in with Starbucks and said, I apologize for judging you based off of what you look like with your tattoos. I was
right,
wrong. Your kid was really sick. I apologize and I say I'm wrong. I told him, I said, I respect you and I'll
right,
take that damn Starbucks because mama's tired. But that
right.
took a lot for him to walk into that room.
But
He had a
that
7-year
shows his
degree and he was wrong.
right, and that shows your integrity. Like
Hmm.
at least you can admit that you were wrong because
Exactly.
nobody ever apologized to me when I was in ICU because they didn't listen to me and I said I had
Right.
an infection.
Right.
No one apologized to me.
Also, I told him, I was like, I commend you for doing that. And he's like, you know what? Don't ever stop being you because that kid's got a really good person behind him. I was like, I was watching him die. His
Right,
skin color wasn't right to me. His behavior wasn't right. 108 fever for days and days and days. And I'm watching him just drop weight. Like there's something wrong. This is not a virus. And it was crazy because they tried to talk to me like I was a new mom. Dude, this is my first rodeo. This is my second kid.
right,
You think I haven't been through the flu already and the cold or whatever? I have. And
right,
this ain't normal. If it don't
right,
feel normal, keep pushing.
right. Because yeah, I 100% agree. You always keep pushing. If it doesn't feel right and it doesn't feel
Hmm.
normal, you know yourself and you know your child.
Yeah.
So if it's not right,
And you don't have to explain yourself to nobody. You walk in somewhere and it don't feel right, walk the hell out. What, you gonna look at
yeah,
me like I'm crazy? Okay, bye.
right.
I changed my
Go to
mind. At that split second, I changed my mind and I will come back later.
right. Or go someplace
Right.
else. Go to every doctor on the county line if you have to. Because somebody's gonna my friend's appendix burst one time and she went to 3 different hospitals before they realized that her appendix had burst.
Oh, I could have killed her.
Yeah. And they kept
I
saying she
don't
was
like
fine and
our
she's
hospital.
and I'm like, that's crazy. Like you had to go to 3 different hospitals
Hmm.
in the same day before you said they said no, oh wait, your appendix burst. And
Right.
it had been leaking. That was what was happening. It was leaking. But they
Hmm.
all treated her like she was crazy.
Yeah, I
There was
don't
nothing
take my
wrong with her.
kids to Scott and White doctors unless I absolutely have to. Our pediatricians with a different place. And we go out to Austin quite frequently because that's where our specialists are. There is a few that we use here, but I won't use our hospital.
Yeah, we don't have very good hospitals here anymore either.
Mm-mm. My kids are relatively healthy now, though. So I don't really have to, besides their little flares with their autoimmune disorders. I mean, besides that.
I used to have a really good doctor and she retired after COVID. Or I mean, she didn't retire, but she does no longer works
Right.
here. So
Yeah, we got a good one. We've had her for a while. Actually, I need to schedule their well child visits, but life.
right,
They're healthy. She knows I'll be up there if they're not healthy. Like I'm coming.
right,
I'm bringing them
right,
in. They stubbed their toe. No.
right, right,
No, but that's my biggest takeaway from the Vaccine Awareness Month.
right,
I'm all for the awareness and yay vaccines because I think they did eradicate a lot of things that were rampant from a time that wasn't ours. There's a lot of research
right.
that I'll drop in here for you guys for the both sides of it. I'm not for either or. I'm not anti or pro. I don't think Christy is either.
No,
We're
I mean,
we're pro
yeah,
mom or pro family.
yeah,
Like think for
that's
yourself. Don't get bullied.
right. right. Don't let make don't let somebody make you do something that you don't feel is right just because
Mhm.
society or a doctor says that's right.
I was about to say,
You
don't
know,
follow a fad because a lot of people are like,
yeah,
oh, you're in that anti-vax fad. No, I'm in I like my kids breathing fad. And
right.
this
I
is
mean,
why I do
yeah,
it. And then
right.
they're like, oh crap. So it's funny, I had a friend that actually came to visit from out of state. And when he got home, I didn't know this about him or his personality, which it doesn't matter if you're anti whatever or pro whatever. He put on his Facebook a big old rant about parents that don't vaccinate. Like very disrespectful rant. And I'm like, okay, free speech, whatever. And I simply made one comment. I was like, so can you tell me which disease that my children gave you? Because it was pretty much he wasn't ever going to take his kids around people who didn't vaccinate their kids, and this was why, and they're dirty and just lepers and blah blah blah. And I was like, please let me know which disease you went home with, because they stayed the weekend at my house. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I was like, my kids aren't vaccinated. Haven't been for a very long time. So what was it? Measles, mumps, polio? Did you get the chicken pox? I'm a little confused how anti-vax kids are just out here spreading the plague.
What did he say?
He literally called me. I didn't mean it like that. Well, you need to rephrase how you say things because that was rude. And because sometimes there's situations that people can't vaccinate. I'm not following some fad because I think it's cool and trendy in 2021. As
Right,
I've been vaccinated since 2013, 14. Come
right,
on. And he was
right.
like, I apologize. I'm like, I was just wondering. I was just being me, asking which one you got because I got to take my kids in and get them checked out.
Right.
He was like,
Well,
no,
it's
no, I didn't mean it like that. And I was like, well, the way you phrase that, like, I'm not mad at you. I'm still your friend, but somebody else could take that really wrong.
right.
Like,
I
seriously
just wish
wrong.
people would realize, and I'm probably gonna get some kind of back, but quit being manipulated by what the government and everybody else thinks that you need
Mhm.
because it's that's exactly what it is. It's what they think that you need, and you don't even know what's in that. So being
Right.
pro vaccine or pro not vaccine, until you can come to me and tell me that you know exactly what they're injecting into your children or anything, don't come at me for not wanting to put it in my children. If
And if
you
you
want to
think
put it in,
about it, we don't know. We don't even know what the
we
hell we're
don't
putting in
know.
our own children with the damn food we feed them. If you want to be
Right,
honest, like, we don't
right.
know.
We don't know. And my personal opinion, I think that they put so much hormones in our foods that it's messing up women's
Mhm.
hormones. Because when back in the 1980s, do you remember children or women getting cysts on their ovaries at the age of 14 or
Girl, I
having to have their
barely even
kids?
got boobs till I was a teenager. Okay. So there had to have
Right,
been less hormones back then.
right. Or having to have a hysterectomy at 20.
Mhm.
When was that ever a thing? Or
Mhm.
9-year-olds having periods, or 8-year-olds
I
having
was I
periods.
was nine or 10.
Yeah,
So I mean, I guess
I
it can
was
happen, but
I was too, but we weren't 9 and 10 until way what I was 10 in the 80s. I mean late 80s, I guess.
yeah.
But
Well, 90s.
but there are kids out here that look like grown ass women at the age of freaking 13.
Yeah,
Like,
you're like,
come
whoa,
on.
whoa, bro, what are
They're
you feeding her?
this generation looks older than our generation because they're feeding them a bunch of hormones.
Mhm.
I mean,
Well, I can just
let's be
say from
realistic.
experience, like getting off of processed food and eating healthy, like just meat and vegetables, like I feel 100% better. My skin looks better. I think clearer.
Well,
When I
I
eat
hope you're
carbs and
growing.
stuff, girl, I'm like, it's
I
bad.
hope you're growing your own vegetables because even these
We do.
vegetables out here are not even
We do.
real. I mean, they're selling us fake eggs. Look,
Girl, I got those too. So you just come back
like
on home. I'm gonna give you some
I mean,
cucumbers and some onions and
our
eggs.
lettuce is literally plastic. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's they're literally
Mhm.
killing us. I mean, the thing is our food is illegal in so many different countries
Oh
because of
yeah.
the
I have a few
crap they
friends
put.
that order food from European countries and will not even eat food in America.
Right.
Not
I
even
mean,
playing.
so
They will pay the
I mean,
extra money to eat European food.
have we ever looked at are our vaccines different than the vaccines that other countries have?
I
Because
don't know, but now I'm gonna research that.
I'm not trying to be like conspiracy theorist or anything, but I don't trust the United States government a little bit. So I sure in the hell
Not
ain't
even a little
getting
bit of that.
not even this much. So
Yeah.
if they're not every other country is getting the same vaccine as we are, then I don't
I
trust
would
it.
assume not, but I'll do that research for us. I would assume not, considering there's a lot of ingredients just in food here that is not, it's banned in other countries.
Countries,
It's
but they ain't telling
illegal.
us that, right? Right? And they don't tell us that. They don't want us to know it because they
Yeah,
want
well,
us
if
to
you
think that
compare the two ingredients boxes of two different things, you can tell, like, little list in Europe, big list in US. What's in that
right.
box?
But everybody's yeah, I'm just gonna
Hmm.
keep my mouth shut because I don't want to. I'm not trying to put the United States down. I'm just trying to say, like, if you can go to other countries and you eat and you don't have those reactions of the same
Right.
food that you do here,
Well,
there
even
might be.
here, play with what you eat here. Eat more of a raw diet. Don't eat carbs, don't eat refined foods, and you'll tell. You'll be
Hmm.
able to tell big time. I'm having a trouble with my sugar right now because I've been cheating and eating the sugar things that I want to and cereal like I shouldn't be. And now I gotta lose 15 pounds again. And I'm like, damn, I feel
Well, have
bad.
you noticed like everything's different? Like
Mhm.
there's like thing food that I used to eat and I would like, and I can't even eat it now because it tastes fake. It doesn't even
So
taste real.
ramen tastes like plastic now. And Liam came up to me the other day and he's like, Mom, this tastes like rubber. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I smell it. And I'm like, smells like what a burnt bowl would smell like if you microwaved it too long and it started to melt. And I'm like, throw that away. Throw it away.
yeah. Like my kids use like the chickens, the breakfast sandwiches.
Hmm.
They're disgusting now. Like disgusting. And I don't know if you like bought hamburger lately, but it looks fake.
Hmm.
Like
Well, they're
it doesn't.
making food now in labs, girl. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I don't even, it looks fake. I don't even know how to explain it. It
We
literally
all
looks
about to be skinny on these liquid diets, eating salad the rest of our
and it
lives.
doesn't even taste right. Like I can't
Mm-mm.
even eat salad right now. It literally gives me a stomachache. It makes me bloated.
Yeah, I don't
Like it
feel good
makes me
unless I
feel
do
sick.
liquids mainly.
And I'm like, I'm gonna have to get my food from like Europe or something too, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah, but you know what the shipping on that's gonna be.
Oh,
God,
that's
I
cool.
thought about it.
My brother orders food, like special food from like he doesn't all his meat is like ordered. It is shipped to his house. And
It's a thought. It would keep us
probably
healthier.
smarter. And he
Hmm.
said he says he's been feeling healthier, like, and he doesn't drink a lot of like processed drinks
I don't
anymore
either.
either because there's a lot of stuff. I mean,
There's a
yeah,
lot of stuff in everything that really needs to be looked into before we put it in our bodies. But if you think about it, we're so accustomed to being spoiled, right? And I say that not being a brat, but we were spoiled. How many people in this world would know what to do or could survive if they had to live off the land? We were spoiled.
well, we're gonna have to figure it out.
Crap is just handed to us and we just stick it in our bodies blindly, not know what the hell is in it. Oh yeah, throw me that Mountain Dew. Give me that corn dog. Like, but what's really in it? Is that really
Right.
meat in that corn dog?
No, I told you a couple months ago I don't even buy corn dogs anymore. That we bought corn dogs and the hot dog in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a hot dog. It
It
was
was a
not a hot dog.
worm. It's a worm.
It was disgusting,
Mhm.
disgusting. And I will not buy. I will not buy a corn dog
I
anymore.
do a lot of protein shake. That's pretty much what I eat or live off of.
Yeah, I bought because when I was doing protein shakes, I was a lot skinnier. And I bought
Mhm.
some protein shakes. I need to start because like everything, it either tastes disgusting or it looks disgusting
Mhm.
or it just make it hurts my stomach. Like
Yeah.
I'm good.
All right. Well, it's been fun, lady. But our
It's fun.
advice to you guys: research, research,
Yes.
research,
Research.
advocate for yourselves for sure.
Yes. For 100%.
Vaccines for sure. For sure,
Right.
for sure. I've
Right.
done both. One of my kids was fully vaxxed, the other one not. And I have
Yeah.
reason for not, but do your research.
So are mine. Some of mine are fully vaccinated, some of mine are not.
Yeah, do your research. And if it don't feel right, it ain't right. Don't even second guess your motherly instinct. Because for me, I had really bad postpartum anxiety. So I second guessed everything. I was like, man, am I just crazy? But 9 out of 10 times my intuition was right. And it
Uh,
wasn't the crazy part of my brain that was freaking out. It was
no.
That was right. So,
God gives us that motherly instinct.
I don't feel
So
like everybody has it though. That's bad.
no, I don't feel like everybody has it too, but the people that do have it, I mean,
Yeah, listen to it for sure.
listen to it for sure. Because if you don't have that motherly instinct, you probably don't even have that instinct. I mean, I
Hmm.
guess I don't know. That was probably not the right thing to say, but just go with your instinct. Go with your gut. If it doesn't feel
Right.
right, and do research on it. Do research on
Hmm.
anything before you just be
Anything.
like,
Yeah,
oh, well, they
absolutely.
say it's okay. That doesn't mean it's
Hmm.
okay. I
Right.
could tell you it's okay to freaking cover your kid's head with a blanket. That doesn't mean it's okay.
Yeah, it's not okay. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But
Yeah.
people are
Research.
easily brainwashed, and because everybody does it, I mean, look, that one guy was able to kill a whole bunch of people to have him convinced to take a drink of this stuff. Like,
Oh, the
don't listen
Kool-Aid
to,
guy. Yeah.
yeah, don't listen to everybody. Like,
Yeah.
just because everybody does it doesn't mean it's
Hmm.
okay or not okay. I
Right.
mean, I could be crazy and be like, don't do it. And the other people could be right. So you really just do your own research, go with your own gut, do what's best for you and your family.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, if this is your choice, I mean, you're their parent, right? Make the
Right,
best decision that you can to protect them. If you feel like vaccinating your kid is the way to protect them, then do it.
right,
That's your
absolutely.
choice. I'm
Right,
not going to.
right. Me
And you know
neither.
what? Have an educated conversation. If you can have those conversations, I have them all the time, just like my friend that posted that. When he called me, I was like, dude, we could look at it a different way. Why don't you look at vaccine shedding? Am I on my Facebook talking crap about your little vaccinated kids? It's the same thing. It's insulting.
Right,
We have the
right,
right to believe what we want to do with our kids without being judged for it.
right.
I mean, come on. I don't put fluoride on my kids' teeth either because if you research fluoride, that was developed for stuff that countries that didn't brush their teeth. Okay. Guess what? I stopped using fluoride on my kids' teeth after I did the research and they don't get cavities. So, coincidence? Not a coincidence. I don't know. But we don't use it. That's all I know.
Right, right.
So just do your
Yeah,
research,
and
guys.
people, yeah. Well,
Well, it was
I-
developed for countries that didn't have access to dental care. Well, we're in America, and we've always had
right,
access to dental care. I've been going for dental care my entire life.
right,
There's fluoride
right,
in water. There's fluoride in toothpaste. You don't have to put the fluoride at the dentist because you're already getting fluoride in all these other areas.
right,
Why are
right,
we over fluorinating everything? We don't need to.
right. No, we don't. We absolutely do not.
I mean,
But the
it's just my
thing
opinion. If you ever want a
that's
fluoride,
that's
go
kind
right
of a
ahead.
hard that's kind of a hard thing too because when we lived in Monroe, we had so our water was made, right? It was in a big
Hmm.
huge thing. And my kids have really never had cavities. But um that water didn't have enough fluoride in it, right?
Hmm.
And we drink a lot of bottled water. And so when my kids went to the dentist, they had to get a special toothpaste, and then this toothpaste was like $150 because they didn't have enough fluoride in the enamel on their teeth or something. And we used that while we were living there. And then just recently, we have regular water now, right? Because we don't live there.
Hmm.
And when we went to the dentist, the enamel on their teeth were fine.
Hmm.
But when we had lived there for like 3 years and they weren't getting enough fluoride, like
Hmm.
because we didn't have fluoride in our water. And I don't, um, they drink bottled water and bottled water don't have fluoride in it.
Right.
And I was buying toothpaste without fluoride because
Right.
before they had fluoride in their water and I didn't even think about it. Like I
Hmm.
didn't put two and two together. But yeah,
Right.
so you want to be careful with that too.
Hmm.
But
I think you should just be careful with anything in life, just because
right,
we only
right,
get one, right?
right,
Gotta try
right.
to live the best we can.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we are gonna do another one with vaccines. Next week we're gonna try to get a special guest, hopefully, with
We're
some
hoping
other
so.
opinions on it.
Well, not other opinions because she has the same opinion, kind of same experience, but
Some other insight. I wouldn't say
yeah,
opinions, other
yeah,
insight.
another insight. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm also gonna put some research links in this. That way you guys can go do your own research. But really, the
Yes.
overall message, awesome for the awareness. I'm glad they have a whole month dedicated to it. But I think that they should also be making people aware of the importance of making the right decision for your family.
Yes.
There's
Very
no
much so.
reason we can't walk around this earth and disagree with people and still be friends or family. You
Right.
do what's
Right.
best for you. Like it's not might be not best for me, but it's best for you, so do it.
Right. Right.
Because I ain't gonna look at
Very
you
much.
different if you come up and say, like, yeah, I vaccinate my kid every 2 months. Okay, cool. How they doing? You know, whatever. Just let me know
Right.
after the 30 days so I can come back around you because of my kid. But other than that, I don't care if you vaccinate. Like,
Right. Yeah, I don't get any of that. Like, I mean, I don't usually, like, I don't get it. I don't understand why it's important to put somebody else down because their
mhm,
views aren't the same as yours.
right,
It's okay.
right.
Again, we have free will, and
Hmm.
just because it looks different than you doesn't. I think that's
Exactly.
my biggest thing. I'm so sick of that. If just because my opinion or my thoughts or the way I do things looks different than yours does not mean that we can't
Get along.
coexist.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like,
I
it's
mean, we all
so
know I'm
frustrating.
opinionated. I have a ton of different opinions than people, and it does not mean that I love you any less.
Right.
But I've
Right.
always been a free thinker. You're not going to ever change to sway me. And that's where I have a problem when you're having a conversation with something, they're trying to convince you that their way of thinking is the only way of thinking.
Right. And
Because I will
it's
butt
not.
heads with you worse when you're trying to convince me.
Right.
Because
Right.
you could have an educated conversation with me and I might actually go, okay, that makes sense. And then you might
Right.
shift my way of thinking. I might not change my way of thinking, but you might have opened it where I think of it differently. But when you start trying to convince me,
Right.
I don't got no time for it. I just check out.
Right.
Like, nope.
Because again, it just because it works for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. Like, I'm totally against the COVID vaccine. I'm 100% against it. It doesn't even make sense to me,
Right.
but I would never put you down,
We're doing it.
not you or anybody down that got it.
I
Like,
was about to say, girl, you know I didn't get it.
you're right. That's your choice. You chose to do that. I
Right.
don't have the right to tell you that that was the wrong choice. It wasn't the
Right.
right choice for me, but
Mhm.
I'm not going to tell you it was the wrong choice for you.
Right.
But you got so many people that are divided because of that. Oh,
Mhm.
you're vaccinated or you're not vaccinated.
Mhm.
Well, does that make me a different person because I didn't get the COVID, COVID vaccine? I'm still here.
No.
I,
Right.
I've I've never even had COVID. Um,
And they don't tell you about herd immunity either. So, like, I've had COVID 4 times. I guarantee my antibodies are just as high as somebody who's had that vaccine, except for I have natural immunity to it.
right. Like, but like that's what frustrates me is because like I can still coexist with somebody that has gotten it,
Mhm.
and I'm okay with that. But there's so many
Right.
people that are not, and it's like you're diseased or like even when you go to the doctors that you don't have. Do you have the vac? No, I don't have the vaccine. Oh, well, then we're gonna have to check you because you're not vaccinated and you could be a
Right.
carrier. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, and you can blow that right up your ass too. But
Right. And you know what? For my whole life, I could have been a carrier of anything. HIV,
right,
hepatitis, all these things. So why are you looking at me dirty
right.
now?
I'm
Come
a
on.
carrier of MRSA in my nose.
Right.
Didn't know that, but I
Right.
am. And
Right.
most people that have worked in the
Healthcare. Yeah.
healthcare is a carrier of MRSA. Didn't know that either.
Because you come in contact with it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But people don't go around shaking your hand and be like,
Yeah.
"Hi, I'm a carrier of MRSA." I mean,
Right.
they
Right.
don't do that.
Hey, how you doing? I got MRSA. Right in this nostril. Yeah, no.
Right. Or
Yeah.
I mean, I don't usually shake people's hand and be like, "I'm not vaccinated. Are you?" Like,
Hey, bro, you vaccinated?
yeah.
No, my
You're
name
like,
don't
when did it?
matter because you're not vaccinated. I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
No.
I've never walked up to somebody and be like, "Do you
Mhm.
like girls or not?"
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it's
don't
never been a
matter.
thing. So why is it such a thing now?
Right. I
Like
feel like
like
vaccines has really divided a lot of people in the world, and it's crazy to me.
I think so much has
I
divided
could
people.
give a damn if you have a vaccine or not. I don't care.
Right, me neither. I don't care. You do you, boo, and I'll
Right.
do me. That's
Right.
all I care about.
Now, if you have
Don't come.
something that I can contract, I'd appreciate you letting me know. I'm not going
Right,
to love you any less.
right.
But if I can
Right.
get something from you, please tell me. Like
Right.
hepatitis.
That's just a respectful thing.
That's the
Like,
respect thing, yeah. Like if I'm giving you injections for insulin and you have hep C, I'd like to know that.
right,
You know,
right,
just other than that, I feel like that's just common courtesy.
right. But I don't need to know your whole, I don't need you to give me your freaking vaccine
Medical
card
history. Yeah,
history with every vaccine you
exactly.
got in to be my friend. It's not my
Right,
business. I don't care.
right. You don't have to be vaccinated to be in the Cool Kids Club. You don't have to be unvaccinated to be in the Cool Kids Club either. We still accept you guys over here, okay?
Right. That's how the
All
world should
right.
be. Just accept
Exactly.
people for, but you didn't get anything out of this thing. Get accept people for who they are.
Right.
That's
Don't
it.
push your beliefs down somebody's throat.
And
Love
somebody
them for
else.
who they are. Let them make their own choices. It's their life.
Amen.
All right, guys. Good night. We will talk to
Good
you
night.
later. Remember to find us on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram as well. And if you
Yes.
guys want to come on or have any suggestions, send us an email at twochickswithavision@gmail.com.
Thank you for watching Two Chicks with a Vision.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.